So I'm following the Zoe Quinn story that's going on right now, and got a couple comments on it. You know, for one, of course you like it when any kind of like social justice warrior type person gets exposed to be a hypocrite. That's enjoyable. We all want to see that. The vast majority of us, I think, see these people as ridiculous, and anytime that you point them out to be hypocrites or kind of show the effect that life has on people's prejudices. And I don't know if prejudice is the right word, but it's kind of the way I describe these people. They kind of have their own ingrained prejudices against things. They think all white men are dolts and potential rapists and have some kind of secret Illuminati-like organization that runs the world. And if you're a white guy and you've lived a normal life, or a somewhat normal life, you kind of realize that really this idea of privilege really doesn't exist, especially if you're not born in the upper economic stratosphere of your society. I can tell you that as a white guy myself, the idea of privilege and the idea of having all these opportunities laid out before me, I sure as fuck never saw it. I sure as fuck never got a job because I was white. So, that being said, what do I think about this whole Zoe Quinn thing? Well, I think it's a little fucking ridiculous, first of all. This idea of journalistic integrity when it comes to gaming websites. Let me let you guys in on a secret. Gaming reviews and websites have never had a lot of journalistic integrity. Basically, you are having an industry that has somewhat of a parasitic relationship with each other, where game reviewers need games to be made for them to review. For games to be made, games have to be successful financially, and for game reviews to be made, games have to be successful financially. So how much interest is there in really having integrity, or is there more an interest in getting people to buy games? I mean, if you're a journalist for gaming, what is going to make it so you make more money? People buying games or people not buying games? So I think that this idea of integrity when it comes to a relationship with an industry that's capitalistic is kind of bullshit. When you're talking about journalistic integrity, you're talking about the press, the free press, having the ability to criticize and critique matters of social policy, matters of politics, and where you can have some integrity in there is when a journalist makes a wage and is able to support themselves in a manner that they find acceptable and are allowed to have free inquiry into matters that actually matter to people and are associated in the public sphere. So when you take someone who doesn't have a financial or other interest in an issue and they're able to investigate it, then you can have journalistic integrity. I don't see how gaming reviewers can really even have this idea of this pure journalistic integrity. Sure, some of them are going to trash games, some of them aren't. But, if you have a company who's sponsoring you or who's giving you kickbacks or giving you free games or, sponsoring your YouTube channel or, talking about you and it's helping your career, in general, you're going to be more favorable to that company than one that's not doing that type of stuff. I mean, when I grew up, we had Nintendo Power. And Nintendo Power was about as far from fucking journalistic integrity as you could get. It was like the goddamn black press for Stalin. It was so pro-Nintendo. I mean, even some of the worst Nintendo games, if they were a major release by Nintendo, would get major, articles and press and things written about them in this magazine. And Nowadays with the internet, sure, more people are able to kind of make these offshoot websites and things like that. But I'm not saying that what this Quinn woman did was moral. But what I'm saying is that if you're surprised that people are influenced by things such as sex and money, then you're naive. Now, as far as what this Quinn woman did, it sounds like she had a. It sounds like she's living the type of life that we would expect her to live, which is when we're talking about social justice warriors and these kind of effeminate men and these guys who, they're willing to give in to the whims and demands of a woman, these kind of white knight syndrome men. That's kind of the guy that I'm imagining Miss Quinn being with, that she cheated on 5 times. And that's kind of what we come to expect from women who enter into relationships with these men. Kind of the anti-feminist idea, or at least kind of what I view it as, is that women have an innate desire to have sexual relationships with men, and to have sexual relationships with men who identify themselves with the classical, stereotypical gender roles that are assigned to men, being strength, kind of this calm under pressure, being able to provide, not being overly emotional or bitchy or overly sensitive, and kind of having this, opposition to the classical definition for women. And so what will we expect if we take a woman who, for all her protesting, actually wants those types of features? Now, I'm not saying that these other men necessarily have those features, but if you are a woman with one of these kind of pathetic, dowdy, effeminate men, you're going to have sexual relationships with other men. If you're not being satisfied, you're going to try to find these things. Now, the idea that she slept with these people for some kind of advancement in her career, looking at the evidence of what we see there may be some of that, but the amount of actual mentions and support that she got from these people, it's pretty much the same type of shit that you'll find in real life. I mean, if you don't think that women who fuck other guys, get better deals on apartments, and women who fuck their bosses don't, get better perks at the company and have to work, less hours and stuff like that, then you have your head in the sand, and you don't fucking understand how reality works. And basically, you can fall into one or two categories in this. Now, you're not going to, first of all, let's accept that you're not going to change the system. You are not going to stop women for fucking for stuff. It is not going to happen. This is how the world has worked for a long time. So you can fall into two categories. You can fall into the category of the guy who's getting fucked by a woman, or fucking a woman, and giving her some kind of stuff in return, and you are getting sex, and usually by getting sex you are a more complete, happy, and whole individual. Or you can be the effeminate, bitchy guy standing on the sidelines, crying moral indignation and outrage at this happening, and not be having sex. And for the most part, 4chan and Reddit and these other sites that are up in arms about this, what I see is a bunch of guys standing on the sidelines claiming a false moral indignation, and not getting any sex and being mad about it. So, I think if you're in this camp of people who are crying about the new media being influenced by this horrible woman, then, grow up. Understand how the world actually works. As much as you make fun of these social justice warriors, as soon as you start looking for the social justice of pointing this woman out for her dastardly manipulation of internet or obscure internet gaming site corruption, you're turning into what you hate. The kind of reaction you should have for this type of shit is, who gives a fuck? Yeah, she's a fucking hypocrite. Duh, all feminists are hypocrites. Humans in general are hypocrites, but especially feminists. You go to any feminist. I'd like to be able to hook some fucking brain diode or brain scanners up to a fucking feminist and show them pictures of a effeminate, beta, whiny male, and then show them pictures of a guy, a fucking lumberjack, with a nice toned body, who is emotionally disconnected, not interested in your struggles, and kind of plays the classic male role, and actually determine which one they are more attracted to. And I think we all know the answer to that fucking question. So, stop bitching about this kind of shit. It makes you look bad. And fucking man up.